I'm curious to hear more about like working with like YouTube and working with those types of brands that are or agencies that are putting you in touch with, you know, events like that.
Yeah, my friend, actually, I don't know if you've had him on the podcast, but Greg Noir, like best concert photographer ever,
Yep,
like the GOAT, the legend,
Yep.
like we love him.
Yep.
I think he wasn't able to do something for, I don't know, but he referred me for the job and I had a call, had an interview. They looked at my portfolio. They really liked it. And they were like, yeah, will you come shoot Vidcon? And I was like, yes. So yeah, I shoot for YouTube social. So basically the stuff from events that goes on their Instagram or Twitter, I usually take those pictures and it's been super fun. I've been doing it for like 2 years. I love the team there. It's super fun. And I was like so excited that they like took a chance on me and then actually liked me enough to keep asking me back to stuff for 2 years. Right. So yeah.
When you started working with them, had you worked with brands prior to that, or what was that coming into that relationship, and how did you kind of dominate it so that they were super stoked with the way you worked?
Yeah, I had done events kind of similar, but on a much smaller scale for Facebook in the past. And so I kind of knew like what they were going for and, you know, been comfortable running around concerts and like doing festivals and all this stuff. They were really looking for someone with that kind of like work experience.
Right.
Because it is very similar. It's like an indoor conference center, but like you're doing the exact same thing you would be doing at a festival. They also, you know, really liked that I knew a lot of the creators because we have a list of kind of, here's everyone who's here. Let's make sure we get a very like rounded out amount of shots of like almost everybody. And I was able to do that because I knew all the people on the list, like personally from like going out to Saddle Ranch with them.
Yeah, of course.
And it was easy for me to just go up to someone and be like, hey, can I take your picture for YouTube's Instagram? So yeah, it was definitely just like being comfortable in that atmosphere. And I think that's why they like me.
I think it's cool because it makes you an incredible asset to them, you know, like being able to have that access to people and then also just being so friendly and easy to pull someone aside. And because, you know, I mean, a lot of people, they know what they're there for when they come to events like that. They know that there's going to be photographers, they have to take photos, etc. But having that experience and A, just being friends with people, but B, just being able to talk to people and be able to have communication is so key as a photographer, especially when you work with major branded events like that. I think that there's always a lot of pressure. A lot of people don't know how to navigate that space, which is always interesting to hear.
Yeah. And I mean, being a people person is a very like learned skill for me. I'm very much like introverted myself. I like to stay home and not see anybody for like days at a time. It's also being a photographer, especially if you want to do concerts or events or anything where you have to interact with like large groups of people. I'm like, you have to learn how to like turn it on when you need to and just like be outgoing and not be awkward and like all of that.
Yeah.
So.
And for people who don't know, when you're touring with an artist, the demand for content is usually pretty quick. So I'm assuming that you got really good at quick turnarounds on the road. So how does that kind of help you out in your experience with working with big events like this to just be able to massively give them dumps of content?
I normally would give an artist after a show, let's say like 30 edited photos within an hour and a half of the show ending. I literally sit down like right after the show's over, import everything, run through it really quick. I probably already have ideas in my head of like, this was good, this was good, this was not good, so we're not going to use that. Yeah, make my own presets, paste everything on, export it, send it to their iPhone in a format that's like ready for Instagram. And so I kind of do the same thing with this event, except I send them a lot more selects. It's definitely a lot more work and more photos in the end, but it's very much the same style of like delivering photos.
And when you're doing those jobs, are you typically the only photographer working within that space at those jobs, or do they hire a couple different people?
I'm not the only photographer, but I'm the only photographer doing what I'm doing. So like if I'm shooting for social, I'm the only person doing that. There are always like Getty Images photographers, like also like random other people shooting for maybe internal Google stuff or newspapers or magazines or whatever. And there's always like a portrait photographer with a whole like backdrop and lighting setup. And I'm oh, hey, hello. But I'm the only person shooting the stuff that's actually going on their social media. So it's very structured. Everyone knows what they're doing.
Thanks for listening to this clip. Make sure to listen to the full interview, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Hit the subscribe button for more highlights and join our Black with No Cream private community for creators. Links in the description.